Hello everyone and welcome to this breakdown of all the important parts of a campervan electrical system. My name's Will, I'm an electrical engineer over at Nohma. We are a company who specialise in designing electrical systems for off-grid installations and vans, and today we're going to be taking a deep dive into batteries for your system. While you can watch this one as a standalone, we would recommend going back and checking out our previous video on basic electrical principles, as we think that will form a nice solid foundation when we start to talk about systems in a bit more detail. There'll be a link for that one somewhere on the screen. Additionally, this mini-series on everything that you need to know about electrical systems and how to design one for your own DIY camper is forming a part of our larger Van Conversion 101 video series. In that series, my partner Mira and I are showing you how to convert a van from start to finish. If you do want to check out those videos, I'll leave a link somewhere on the screen, along with a link to our TikTok and Instagram where we do more short form and behind the scenes content as well. In this video, we'll be talking through everything that you need to know about batteries, including battery type, battery management systems, and safety. We'll put the time codes in the description in case you want to skip around. Now, designing your own electrical system is not only a really gratifying challenge, but it also helps for you to have an understanding of the system you're putting together so you know how everything works and what to do if something goes wrong. However, if you want to get some of that understanding and the top-notch system without actually having to go through the hassle of designing it yourself, then please do go check out Nohma. This is not an ad. I am one of the engineers over there, so you can come and speak to me or one of our other team members, and we will help put a kit together for you based on your specific needs and requirements. We also provide full wiring guides and plenty of support throughout the installation. We don't charge anything for the service as long as you are buying everything through us, so it should be the same price as putting it together yourself anyway, just without the headaches. If you are interested, then there's a link in the description where you can go submit an inquiry and one of us will be back in touch with you shortly.
This video is sponsored by Sterling Insurance.
There are two main types of battery that you will probably consider: lithium iron phosphate and lead acid. The most common type of lead acid battery used in a campervan installation is an AGM or absorbent glass mat battery. This is slightly more sophisticated than your standard car or van battery and comes with quite a few practical benefits. They can be discharged more deeply, recharged faster, and they're more resistant to temperature extremes. That being said, for most builds, AGM batteries are still vastly inferior to a lithium iron phosphate battery. So let's do a quick side-by-side comparison. We'll take two examples with the same advertised capacity: the Fogstar Drift Gen 2 238 amp hour lithium battery and the TN Power 230 amp hour AGM battery. When it comes to lithium batteries, by the way, there are plenty of good brands, but we're mostly going to be talking about Fogstars in this series. At the time of speaking, they are the most popular lithium battery supplier in the UK. In my opinion, they are the best equipped for the best price. We've actually got one in our system, this massive 628 amp hour battery nicknamed the Beast. We're going to explain why we went for such a big battery in our design video. The first difference between the two types of battery is the size and weight. As you can see, the AGM battery is 30% larger and more than double the weight. Another comparison point is the effective capacity of the battery. A lithium battery can be discharged more deeply, meaning you can regularly use 80 to 90% of the battery's capacity before needing to recharge it. For AGMs, regularly discharging the battery to those depths can permanently damage it, so it's best practice to keep to a 50 to 80% discharge depth at most. Discharge depth is not a fixed number that you have to stick to. If you need to use more of the battery's capacity, you can, but keeping the discharge depth between these healthy ranges just means that you're going to be able to use the battery for more cycles during its lifespan. The number of cycles for a battery is usually advertised based on an 80% depth of discharge. So in this case, an AGM battery would get you 500 cycles, whereas a lithium battery would get you 4,000. Now, this also doesn't mean that the battery just dies after 4,000 cycles. It just means that after 4,000 cycles, the battery is still expected to retain a certain percentage of its original capacity, usually 80%. The battery will still work normally after that point, and the effective capacity won't drop off a cliff either, it will just continue to decline. And again, the rate of battery health decline will be faster if you are regularly discharging the battery to a deeper level. To give you a rough example, an AGM battery will normally last for 5 to 8 years before you should replace it, whereas a lithium battery can last for 15 years or more if it's looked after. Another important point is price. When I first joined Nohma about 4 years ago, there was a legitimate argument to be made for AGM batteries, particularly in smaller systems where you were looking to keep the budget down, as they tended to be around half the price. You can see now, with lithium batteries becoming more popular and the supply increasing, the price gap has closed significantly. And there's not really a lot of benefit in choosing an AGM battery. There are even some cheaper lithium battery options than this one, like the original Fogstar Drift and the Fogstar Eco, which have a few less features than the Gen 2, but can actually come in cheaper than an equivalent AGM battery. The last thing to compare is features. With lithium batteries being more sophisticated, but also more susceptible to damage, they will usually have a built-in BMS, or battery management system. Nowadays, they will often have a built-in Bluetooth battery monitor too that you can access via an app on your phone. These are components that you would otherwise need to include externally in the system, so having them built into the battery can save you added complication and money. A lot of lithium batteries will also have some bonus features, including built-in heating to allow for charging when the ambient temperature drops to below 0 degrees, and active cell balancing, which is a new one. Basically, your battery is made up of several individual cells. For a 12-volt battery, it's usually 4 cells, each of which will output about 3.2 volts. These can sometimes get out of balance. An older battery would burn off any excess power as heat, which would limit the usable capacity of the battery and essentially shorten its lifespan. A battery with an active balancer can transfer power between the individual cells, which keeps them topped up manually and basically prolongs the life of your battery. So that's a nice bonus as well. To cut a long story short, for pretty much every application nowadays, in my opinion, a lithium phosphate battery is the better choice.
So we just wanted to take a quick minute to say a huge thank you to the sponsors of this video and actually the entire series itself, Sterling Insurance.
Sterling offer campervan insurance for all sorts of weird and wonderful conversions, whether it's something pre-built or you've done it yourself. We've been with Sterling for a couple of years now, and we've been so impressed with the cover they offer, and their customer service has been impeccable from start to finish.
So some of the things that they offer are personal possessions cover for up to £12,000 and European cover for 90 days or even longer, which was amazing in our case when we wanted to travel basically for the whole year in Europe. One of the things that we also love is that they offer optional extras, one of them being protection for your camping gear, which if you're in a camper van or you're living that off-grid lifestyle, that's something that is quite important.
Unlike a lot of other insurance companies who offer more generic policies, Sterling offer real van life insurance. Give them a call and you can make sure that the policy you choose is tailored to your needs and your van specifically.
So if you're doing a van conversion or are ready to set off on your adventures, then definitely check out Sterling Insurance. It's super easy to get a quote, and there's a link in the description down below.
Let's talk in a little bit more detail now about battery management systems. BMS will have a variety of functions, protecting the battery against overcharging, over-discharging, and offering temperature protection, so shutting off the battery if it gets too hot or too cold. They offer diagnostic information and can sometimes communicate directly with external components like the Victron Servo GX. Now, in order to protect the internal structure of the battery, one of the most important functions of the BMS is the discharge current limit. This dictates how fast the battery can be discharged, and it's a really crucial point to make sure that the battery you end up choosing can handle the demands of your system. This is something that we're going to go through in more detail when we get onto inverter sizing. Some lithium batteries, in particular the Victron range, do not have a built-in battery management system or a battery monitor for that matter. They're designed to work with other products in the Victron ecosystem, like their range of battery management systems and battery monitors. In a complete system, this will work seamlessly, giving you full visibility over battery data and excellent system level control, particularly in large inverter or residential setups. However, for most campervan installations, the lack of a BMS and battery monitor built in, along with the prohibitively high price of the batteries themselves, means you just don't see them very often. In the case of an AGM battery, they also will not have a built-in battery management system, but they don't really need one. In most cases, the cost of adding this will not be worth the small benefit that it gets you in terms of prolonging the life of your battery. The only thing that we usually recommend adding if you are going for an AGM battery is the Victron Battery Protect. This is a little unit which can essentially disconnect your DC loads if the battery ever reaches a potentially dangerously low level. Another thing to mention is that you generally won't need any protection against ambient temperatures for either battery type. For lithium batteries, charging voltages are not majorly affected by changes in temperature, but they do have a fixed set of operating ranges for both charging and discharging. The main restriction to be aware of is that charging a lithium battery below 0 degrees C can permanently damage the internal structure. So in most modern options, the BMS will prevent charging below this temperature. To combat this, a lot of modern lithium batteries will have built-in set of heating pads, like I mentioned earlier, which take a portion of the incoming charge and use it to heat the battery cells to about 2 to 5 degrees Celsius, allowing for safe battery charging. There is more that you can learn about how temperature affects batteries and also about the various other comparison points that we've mentioned so far, but we're going to leave that for a little bit later because most of it is not relevant or useful for your standard campervan system. We're going to cover how to select the correct battery for your system in a later video, but to give you a rough idea of sizing, we usually recommend speccing the battery to support you for about 2 to 3 days off grid at a time, based on whatever your daily outgoing power is going to be. However, if you do want or need multiple batteries, either for increased capacity, to combine them to achieve a different voltage, or for redundancy, there are a couple of different ways that you can do it. You can combine them either in series or parallel. For a series connection, the positive and negative of the two batteries will be connected together, like so, which has the effect of adding the two battery voltages. This way, you could combine two 12-volt batteries in series to achieve a 24-volt battery bank, or 4 to achieve a 48-volt battery bank. In general, this is less favourable, as a series arrangement can leave the batteries more susceptible to becoming imbalanced, because the two batteries are not forced to remain at the same voltage and state of charge. A single batteries management system is usually able to keep its own cells balanced, and there are some more sophisticated batteries that are able to communicate with one another and ensure that all the cells in the battery bank are balanced. But in general, it's just easier to go for a parallel setup. This involves linking the two positive and the two negative terminals. This keeps the batteries at the same voltage, effectively splitting the current that goes through each. So in the case of a 12-volt system, you could have two 12-volt batteries in parallel, essentially just doubling the battery capacity that you have. Or for a 24-volt system, you could have two 24-volt batteries in parallel, which is generally favourable to going with two 12-volt batteries wired in series. As 24-volt batteries are becoming more common, there are a lot more dedicated 24-volt batteries on the market. Because 24-volt systems are usually higher power with larger inverters, the batteries start at a higher threshold, so I think the smallest one that Fogstar offers is a 24-volt 230 amp. It's also worth noting, if you are going to compare 12 and 24-volt batteries, to look at the capacity that's advertised in watt hours, not amp hours. The capacity in amp hours of a 24-volt battery is half that of an equivalent 12-volt battery. So if you had a 12-volt 460 amp hour battery, that is equivalent in size and capacity to a 24-volt 230 amp hour battery. Wiring batteries in parallel is also useful if you ever wanted to add another battery in future. If, for example, you wanted to start with a smaller system and then add another battery for extra capacity down the line, you can do that as long as it's an identical battery. This can be done without any other changes required to the system, so it's super easy to do. One of the things that gets brought up quite a lot when discussing lithium batteries is fire risk, but this is actually a little bit of a misunderstanding. Lithium-ion batteries with a different chemical makeup to the lithium iron phosphates that we use in campervan systems can be susceptible to something called thermal runaway, which is where heat generated inside the battery cells triggers further reactions, causing overheating, and even potentially fire risk. This is still very rare, but it has been known to happen in some smaller lithium-ion batteries, such as lithium cobalt oxide batteries that are used in smartphones. However, lithium iron phosphates are much more thermally stable. They have a much higher temperature threshold before decomposition and are therefore much more resistant to this kind of fault. Fire risks in campervan systems are mostly down to improperly spec'd cable and fuse sizes. If your cable is too thin for the current that it needs to carry, and the fuse is not sized properly to protect the cable can melt. You can also get overheating and burnout on some cheaper components that you might use around the system, which is why it's usually favourable to go for trusted and reliable brands throughout the system, like Victron. Where a lithium battery does demand respect is with regard to short circuit currents. Imagine if you put a spanner between the two terminals of a lithium battery. The low resistance circuit that you've created could send over 1,000 amps through the short. An AGM battery would also still be dangerous in this case, but the internal battery chemistry and voltage lag means that the current is more limited. Again, in either case, the risk is mitigated in a properly designed system. Using correctly sized cables, a fuse close to the battery positive terminal, and a sophisticated functional BMS means there are several layers of protection against a variety of different battery faults. That way you can sleep safely knowing that you have a trusted system and a big lithium battery right below your head. So that is the basics of batteries for a campervan electrical system. Obviously in a later video we are going to be going into more detail about how to actually select a battery and the size for your specific needs. But if you have any questions at this stage, or if you'd like a hand with anything, then please do let us know in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video, then please do leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and you can also click the bell icon to be notified when we release new videos. As I mentioned at the start, we are also doing this van conversion over on TikTok and Instagram, so if you prefer more short form content, then definitely go check those out. We've got lots more content coming up on on electrical systems. In our next video, we're going to be talking about solar panels, which are an excellent free and passive resource for getting power back into your electrical system, with a view to then putting this all together to help you design your own electrical system based on your specific needs. See you in the next one. Bye for now.